Greetings, I'm Demonac, and it's Hearthstone Ranked time. Yeah, I'm finally going to get started on some Ranked play. Let's go back and take a look at my deck. I'm going to be playing with my constructed Rogue deck here. Happens to be named after my first main World of Warcraft character, who was in fact a Night Elf Rogue. But this is what I've got going so far. If you watched that preview where I played a casual game with my Rogue deck, it's changed just a little bit. I've gone up to 2 backstabs, and I took out one of the betrayals. I really like the betrayal. Betrayal can kill 2 minions, and it usually does pretty good damage. But you can only use it if your opponent has at least 2 minions out, and it's actually harder to get it to work well than other spells of that kind, because Warrior's Cleave, Shaman's Forked Lightning, they both require your opponent to have at least 2 creatures out, like a Hunter's Multi-Shot, right? But they hit at least 2 of those creatures. Betrayal requires your opponent to have at least 2 creatures, and even then, it's only hitting one of them. The one that you target with Betrayal is always unharmed. Now, if they have 3 creatures, you can potentially kill 2 of them, and it can be quite strong. But they can also hose that by playing their weakest creature in the middle, which makes Betrayal not very worthwhile. So I still think it's a great card overall, but it loses out to Backstab for my deck, because I am relying a lot on triggering combo, which Backstab free cost is much better for. In the early game, doing 2 damage to a single minion with Backstab is much easier. It doesn't require them to have out multiple creatures. And this, combined with the combo, or just combined with any 2-cost creature, can really let you win that early exchange. Like, one person plays a creature, the other person plays a creature, and the rogue backstabs the opponent's creature. That's a fairly frequent scenario, and it works out amazingly with stuff like the Defias Ringleader, who now gets his combo effect of actually being 2 creatures for the price of 1. So that works out very well. I play a lot around with, I have the Knife Juggler, and the Defias Ringleader works very well with him. Knife Juggler is good on his own anyway, but I have an okay number of creatures. I have a lot of my creatures are inexpensive to go along with that. And that's what I really like about the Rogue deck. The Rogue's weapon, while not my favorite ability, it is a reliable way to do some damage to kill creatures or get a little tiny bit of damage on your opponent when you have mana left lying around. And especially the thing is, with the Rogue deck, I can play with a whole bunch of creatures that are still very effective late game. I have a lot of damage dealing spells, so the Kobold Geomancer is a cheap spell damage source. I mean, he's good early in the game. He's a 2/2, he's at least not a horrible second turn play. But if I play him before using a Backstab, or an Eviscerate, or a Shiv, or my Head Crack, then he's actually adding damage in that way as well, which is very good. The Defias Ringleader is, of course, he's still quite good later in the game. He can beef up your forces quite a bit if you play something else first. And I have the Bloodsail Raider, who will usually give you a 3/3 for 2, just using your basic rogue weapon ability. And I also have the Deadly Poisons, which if I have a weapon with Deadly Poison on it, now the Bloodsail Raider is coming out and giving me a 5/3. And I like the Deadly Poisons because they both allow me to hit much harder with my weapon, getting 3 damage out of it. Like, this is adding 4 damage in total, some of which may be wasted if I'm attacking creatures with less than 3 hit points, but I'm adding 4 damage for 1 mana, and as long as I have a weapon out already, this is a very cheap way to trigger the combo on Eviscerate or on the Defias Ringleader. And you get this, I've got the Ringleaders, the Bloodsail Raiders, Knife Jugglers, Swamp Oozes, and the Geomancers. These are all cheap creatures, which are still useful later in the game to some degree. In a similar vein, the SI7 agent he's a 3 for 3, so he's fine. He's not exceptional, but he's perfectly decent for the mana. But if you trigger his combo, he becomes actually an amazing killing machine. He's usually going to kill something and be a 3/3 for 3, and that's incredibly good. So, if you've been watching my channel, I said I wanted to save up enough dust and get myself a legendary. I decided it's going to take too long. I wanted to start with the ranked play and see how it goes. And my understanding is that the first few ranks is going to be a little bit of a raffle stomp. I must be at least somewhere in the middle range, so I expect that I'm going to win most of the early games fairly easily. This is what I'm hearing anyway. But yeah, so I ended up, what I did spend some dust on was getting myself a second Knife Juggler and a second SI7 agent. And that one hurt me, because I don't like spending dust on class-specific stuff if I can avoid it. The Knife Juggler, having two Knife Jugglers is good for a lot of my decks, whereas the SI7 agent, only good for Rogue. But it's so strong to me that I really wanted to have it if I was going to make this deck work. So my deck is very aggressive, very fast to come out. It has a lot of stuff that does kill minions. It has the two Shivs and the two Azure Drakes to help me draw cards. And I have one copy of Headcrack. And I like to have one copy of that because I don't really want to get them both in my hand. Like, I don't want to get it early in the game because it's going to be a dead card a lot of the time. Or I might end up just casting it without the combo, which is just sad. Like, I probably should just never do that under any circumstances because it only damages the hero. It doesn't you can't use this to kill minions. But later in the game, once you get it going, every turn you draw a card, you cast a card, and then you headcrack your opponent for 2. It's like gaining the Hunter ability at a slightly larger cost, in addition to you already having the Rogue ability. And then, of course, I've got the classic 2 Defender of Argus because they're super strong, and having all these cheap creatures makes it work well. I've got 2 Assassinates to deal with big threats, 2 Azure Drakes because they give me more spell power for all those spells. They draw me a card when you play them, which is why they're amazing, because he just is effectively not costing me a card in my hand. And I've got 2 Venture Company Mercenaries right now, because this is a very fat guy to put out. He's quite a threat that you can lay on the board for relatively little mana. I have a lot of spells that I might be able to play around him, and I have a lot of cheap enough creatures that I can probably still play a creature every turn, even with his horrible drawback that all my minions cost 3 more. If you're wondering, if I start getting some legends, get like a Sylvanas or Ragnaros or some other, I'm looking for legends that are like finishers to help me push the game over the edge into victory. And so they'll probably be replacing the Venture Company Mercenaries, if I get them, but that's kind of long term. For now, again, from what I have heard, from what I understand, when you play in ranked play, you're starting out at the very bottom. If you want to see here, normally when you go to play, it defaults to casual. So you're just playing for fun. You still get 10 gold for every 3 wins. I'm not sure how much matchmaking goes into finding your opponent. But if you want to play ranked, you move over to the ranked icon here. It's pretty obvious in the new build. It used to not be obvious in the before the patch. And notice my starting rank up here is 25. Lower numbers is higher ranks, right? If you're first rank, then you're getting up there to the top players, although it can go kind of beyond that into legendary status. And of course, you've got an icon for your rank, which in my case is an angry chicken because I haven't played any ranked games yet. There are also stars above that. You gain stars with some wins, and when you get enough stars, that's kind of when you advance to the next rank. And you'll be playing against opponents in the same rank as you, so it will get much more difficult as it goes on. My understanding is that I'm probably going to run into some scrubs, at least in the first couple of rankings here. And we all know that I'm a competent player. I don't know how good a player I am. That's kind of what ranked is here to figure out. But I know that I'm competent at building decks, competent at playing the game and analyzing a situation. So the bottom ranked players should theoretically be people that I can, there's no other better way to say, should actually just be stomping them. But we're going to find out possibly the hard way, starting with a mage, and going first, not the ideal circumstances. Also, I have a Venture Company Mercenary in my starting hand. That's far from ideal. I should probably keep the Eviscerate, but I'm going to pitch it too because I need to get myself a creature. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pitch all 3 cards. Shiv, I would kind of like to keep the Shiv, but it's not that strong in the early game, and I really need some of this. Creatures that are playable. I got a Backstab in my starting hand, which is actually almost worth mulliganing, like recycling more cards, just to improve my chances of getting a backstab at the start, because that drastically improves my chances at the start. Yes, I'm probably going to be squelching my opponents all the time, because I just get tired of them being able to spam comments. If they're using them reasonably, it's not annoying, but every time someone plays a single comment, it makes me think they're going to make more comments with their emotes, and I don't want to deal with it, so yeah. If you're wondering about the skill level opponents, spinning an Arcane Missile to do 3 damage to me is probably a poor choice, in all likelihood. That's something that should have been saved to kill a creature. I mean, she could have just waited on that. Maybe her plan is to be a mage that just completely burns you down so fast you can't do anything. I don't think that strategy is going to be viable. I think it's going to run into the problem that I'm going to have minions, and you can't kill me and the minions at the same time and have it be fast enough. So we've got the Croc here. That's potentially a problem, you know, but I have ways to deal with that. I'm going to backstab it, and normally, if this was some other 2/2, I would backstab it, and then I could play an SI7 agent to finish it off, or I could use my dagger to finish it off. But actually, because this is the +1 spell damage minion, I can backstab for 3 and just kill it flat out. And then the choice is, do I play an SI7 agent, which is kind of wasting its ability, or do I play a Defias Ringleader, who is wasting some of my mana, and my opponent can just kill one of them with her ability? I'm going to go for the SI7 agent. Because I have both of them in my hand,
this guy's
I feel fairly confident that I'm not going to miss that ability too much. And having a 3/3 out right now feels more useful than having the extra 2/2 and 2/1, when the 2/1 is so easy to kill. And even the 2/2 is more vulnerable to AoEs. That's the big thing. It takes a bigger spell to kill the SI7 agent than to kill possibly multiple of these guys. I mean, my opponent should still have a coin, right? Because she went second. So she could have gone coin, Geomancer, Arcane Blast, and do 2 damage to everything. Oasis Snapjaw. You don't usually see that in a well-constructed mage deck. There are so many better things. Like, if you wanted something like this, you would play with the 1/7 Taunt guy instead. Because at least he has Taunt. This, probably not what you want. So, I'm going to try and refrain from criticizing these people. People in the Chicken League are mostly probably going to be people who have much less experience with collectible card games than I do. So let's just proceed to winning the game, and I'll try and get through these as fast as I can. I don't even feel the need to fight that. It can't kill my Taunt guys in one shot, and I'm going to be pummeling my opponent at this rate. So, 4 mana, she could Cone of Cold. That would be fairly obnoxious. It is a rare. I'm wondering if Snapjaw Turtle here has a lot of rares yet. That's one of the things. I waited a long time before playing ranked. I didn't just start playing ranked right away, and I think that is the mistake of probably most of the people who I play against who are in this rank, who are still in this rank by the time I play them, is they probably just went right into playing ranked and didn't build up their selection of cards first. So the Acidu is not very useful against a mage. I mean, the mage isn't going to have any weapons. So, yeah. Unfortunately, triggering my Dagger Mastery doesn't count as a spell for triggering combos. Otherwise, the rogue would be way OP, and they'd probably have to nerf all the combo stuff. So, yeah, in the interest of getting a big army. Now, I might get blizzarded if I get a big army. That is an issue. But I do want to try and kill my opponent here. That is tough, actually.
So many options.
There are so many options. I'm going to actually, because I'm a little bit worried about a blizzard coming in, I'm going to use the SI7 agent. I probably shouldn't.
Ha, this guy's toast.
Kill that. And I am going to kill off the turtle. It's probably dumb, but I've got a 4/4 taunt guy protecting him, unless I do get blizzarded. If I get blizzarded, now he'll die, but he wouldn't have been able to attack next turn, and I wouldn't have had a good way to kill the 2/2 with my minions anyway. It was probably a waste of his ability. I probably should have saved him, but I didn't want to waste my ringleader in a situation where I'm worried about getting AoE'd. He's good to replenish my forces after an AoE. Oh yeah, that's annoying. But that indicates that my opponent's not doing anything particularly dangerous to me here. Yeah, just playing a whole bunch of basic common creatures with no abilities and nothing particularly impressive about them or synergy with the mage, so I should be okay. I don't want to play both of these. Yeah, okay. Fairly confident I was going to win. Oh, that's what it is. They're empty stars. That's how many games I have to win. So now I have an actual star. I found out that the different classes get their, like, golden copies of their basic spells at different levels. It's kind of weird. So I don't even know when the next one is. But you can mouse over it and see next level at 28, I'm going to get a golden Fan of Knives. Yay! Okay, so that's one game played. Play another game and see. I don't know if I advance to the next rank right away or if I have to play one game after that. Something like that. Golden cards can be disenchanted for a lot of dust, but not if they're the golden cards that you get for leveling up, because they're all soulbound. They're just copies of the basic cards that you can never disenchant. There's another mage. It is a different one. This one's name is actually Scrub, which makes me wonder if that's like an ironic name and if I'm actually running into a player who is more skilled, who's doing the same thing I am, which is trying to get up to at least the middle ranks. Oh, having 4 cards is so nice. I'm going to get rid of him because he costs more. I'm going to keep the others. I probably should have pitched the Shiv too, just to see what else I could get, but eh. Oh, that's right, I've got a coin. I love my coin. Because it means that my first turn play is 2 creatures for the price of 1.
Yeah.
I forgot. He literally says this is our town, Scrub, like he's talking directly to my opponent. So yeah, killing this guy, solid play, but it still feels like a good use of my coin to me anyhow. So, I hit you for 2, and I'm going to play Swamp Ooze. I'm not too worried about them being AoE'd right now. At 3 mana, my opponent probably has to spend 1 card per creature to kill them. So, killing him would be nice, if I could kill him without trading any of my guys. Especially since I have 2 Eviscerates in my hand, I think I'm actually going to waste an Eviscerate to blow him up. Maybe dumb. If I had 1 more mana, then I would do the Dagger and Shiv, and that would be awesome because I'd draw a card. But this way I can hit my opponent for 5, and that keeps my creatures alive. Keeps my minions alive. 4 mana, you could Cone of Cold, but no, you're going to play a fairly large taunt creature. I'm going to have to do something about that. But I do have enough mana to. It's kind of expensive card-wise, but kind of not, because I'm going to get back a card from Shiv. Casting Shiv will do 1 damage, and it'll trigger the combo on the Eviscerate, which will do 4, finish it off, and I can hit my opponent for another 5. Sounds pretty good to me. While keeping these minions in my hand for a later date. I also can play the Ventricle Mercenary next turn if my opponent does blow up all my stuff. So that'll be good.
Well played.
Yeah, I know that was like a compliment. There's no option to always squelch. I would probably always squelch. I was like, I love what you did with the chat, but I wish you could go further in not talking to my opponents and just pretend that I'm playing against a very smart computer. Why can I not click the stuff? Oh, there we go. Wow, using a fireball to kill a 2 toughness creature is pretty desperate. Like, it's not necessarily a bad move. She's in dire straits, obviously. I don't know what her cards are. But I could make a weapon, and that would give me 1 more damage right now, and I could hit with this, but really the play... is the Venture Company Mercenary. Because it's going to take the most effort for my opponent to get rid of, and I get to conserve the cards in my hand. It also does not make it more expensive to assassinate a large creature. Like, I can just blow him up with Assassinate. Maybe a little excessive for Assassinate, but given that I get to hit my opponent for more than half her health, I think it's worthwhile. Opponent does have more cards than me. Not sure what she's planning to do with them. Now, he was worth fireballing. No question there. That did take most of her turn, though, and now I can cast Guys again.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
No, that's good. Good play. Now you can kill this. Which you really want to do when you're at 7 health. So I could potentially shiv that, or I can kill it with my weapon. I can head crack. The head crack is going to kill my opponent in very short order now. So I'm going to definitely start doing that. Yeah, we're going to kill this. See what I get. The Geomancer can add damage to this head crack, but I don't want to do that quite yet. I think I definitely want to head crack every turn. I don't think there's any way my opponent can outrace me. So we'll do that. But I'm actually just going to make a weapon and stab for 1. Next turn I can drop 2 of these guys and have them be at least 3/3. It's probably a moot point, because next turn, if my opponent doesn't heal, I can drop this, head crack for 3, stab for 1, win. The math is strongly in my favor. Two stars. Okay. Well, that's my first video for ranked. I mean, the first game went really quick, so I do it. I think I'm normally going to be doing 2 games per video, similar to the arena, but we're going to have to get used to it, because it's a new format. So we'll see what it actually takes to go up a rank next time. If you like this, please click the eponymous button. And don't forget to subscribe to Demonac Games for more Hearthstone Arena and other gaming videos.